Dream Center, the Healing Place Church told me a while ago, they were told to be 2 or 3 weeks before these people get registered. I just don't understand that. So, and if you try to call the number 1-800-621-FEMA, you can't get through from 2 o'clock in the morning. I've tried all different hours. It's just on hold. I mean, there's so many people trying to get into that system. And we have churches. I've visited 2 or 3 churches who've had people in them on their own, just trying to take care of people. And the faith-based community has been just tremendous. The next slide will point out what we think is the structural damage in our parish, and we were just really blessed. And I guess some people get upset with me when I say we still answer the phone. It's a wonderful day in Ascension Parish still, because those who have experienced it all, what is happening in the other areas. We have in my office, the Chief Financial Office for the Parish of St. Bernard, and we have the Information Systems Office. And when I met with them a while ago, they're trying to do their payroll and all from the Parish President's office in Donaldsonville. There's still homes in St. Bernard Parish with water up to the roof level, you know, and so they're operating in various places. Most of their parish government is at the Chalmette Refinery, where they really high and dry. One of the it's estimated by our fire people who went out and did damage assessment about 1.4 million. It's just an estimate. We had 500 something structures, as you can see, with some damage, several with trees on homes. As far as we know, we've had no injuries associated with the storm and no deaths. So I commend the fire departments and the work that they've done to help us do this. And our building department, under the leadership of Tom and Laverne as the building official, to ascertain property damage in our parish. Obviously, this is something we report to FEMA. Also, Walter reported to me, since we did this slide, that the fire at the the Winn-Dixie facility, we actually fed about 50,000 evacuees. And I don't know how accurate those counts are, but it's pretty close. It has nothing to do with the Red Cross. It has nothing to do with FEMA other than a few bottles of water and ice coming in. That's just the good people in Ascension Parish, and probably some from outside of our parish, doing the right thing for the right reason. The next slide will talk about trying to coordinate this effort, and that's the biggest challenge I've seen. Now, obviously, this being the largest natural disaster in the history of our country, it looks like. You hear a lot of people trying to blame and all this now. That doesn't accomplish anything. Our parish and state and natural resources, obviously we had communication problems right after the storm, both from within our EOC, which lost power, as well as cell phones and so forth, with towers that were down, power outages. But the EOC is still filling requests for manpower. We have 30 National Guardsmen who've been at the Lamar-Dixon Center, I think, since the day after we opened it, that support our police personnel from the Sheriff's Office primarily. We request for the debris removal equipment, and I'm happy to report to you that Corps, with their contracts and with FEMA, they hired a company that was very involved in Florida, called Ashbrit, A-S-H-B-R-I-T-T, and there begin the process of debris removal throughout the parish. In addition, Bill reported to me this afternoon, another company will be doing work with some canals in certain areas. And we have no contracts with them. This is between Corps and FEMA, and they will be here for the next 2 or 3 weeks to remove the debris from our parish. They'll also be doing that in several other parishes that they're able to get in. The state EOC lost power. It was very difficult for the first few days to communicate with them effectively. And so there's a lot of improvement opportunities as we get through all of this and sit down with the state and our own people, Jim and them, and look at what can we do better, what did we do good, how can we improve. And this is certainly a big test for the whole process. But I commend Jim and the people working over there, and all the volunteers that have been there. And we basically cut that back now from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening. We're still under the state of emergency because we have so many people left in our parish, or new neighbors, or whatever they will eventually become. The National Guard is still there 24 hours a day, and we'll keep someone there with them because until their mission is finished, they must stay there. That's part of their mission from the governor's office when they were activated. The next slide talks about some of the things that we have basically done in our community, which is not associated with FEMA or Red Cross or any of the formal official organizations that help with these type of events. Distribution center, both on the West Bank and the Lemon Building, as well as this one here, distributing goods, mostly volunteer goods, just coming in to people over there that needed it. We signed a contract with Winn-Dixie, who was going out of business, closing down, but they were still in the building. And of course, under the parish emergency order, we can actually commandeer buildings for the public good. And we signed a contract with their attorneys to use that facility. We have coolers, we have walk-in freezers. It looks like a mini Walmart over there. And a couple of parish people, the Matassa brothers, have been manning that day and night with just a lot of volunteers throughout the community. And it's really been amazing to watch this happen and the good that has been done there. In addition, we got some gas gift cards from Robert Distributors, and the faith-based community has been working those where people could go and actually get gasoline who had a place to go, who had the ability to get there other than didn't have the money to buy gasoline. And so those were in $25 increments. They would interview these people, talk to them, get their vehicle identification number, get their destination, names, family members, and so forth. So if they had family either within the state or outside the state that they could go to, we was trying to help them get there instead of just be scattered around our parish. It looks like that's been effective because I don't see as many people just in the parish in vehicles and on side of the roads we did a few days ago. In addition, the faith-based communities, primarily under the leadership of the Methodist Church in Gonzales and First Baptist, organized something that you see their website. Pastor Law told me Sunday, I think it was, they had $13,000, $14,000 cash in. I'm sure it's grown since then. Operation Good Neighbor is something we come up with. We saw this thing unfold and we realized the communication problems between these national organizations was going to delay their arrival. Martin, you know what we got in there?
About $12,000.
About $12,000. And I know we've got commitments. One gentleman in the community raised $10,000. She get that check Monday to a golf tournament. We have Betty Robab, happens to be her granddaughter, did a lemonade stand in Statesville, North Carolina, and raised $7,000 selling lemonade. And I know that's been on the national news called Kids for Katrina Kids. And so I think we'll see cash coming in. And what we're using that cash for, if somebody broke down a car, needed a part and had a flat tire, and didn't have money to fix it, these groups will go out and meet with them and try to help them get what they need to move to where they're trying to go. So I fully expect in Operation Good Neighbor will be tens of thousands of dollars come into there, and we'll have to, and we've asked the chambers to work together to help us decide what to do with that for cash. In addition, the next slide shows that the faith-based organizations set up what's called Helping Unite Believers Hub. And they're just trying to get all the church groups in the community to work with that. So we don't have churches all over the place doing different things, trying to coordinate an effort to create synergy and create focus so we can truly get the dollars to the people that need it the most and not duplicate what we're doing. And that's been effective for what we can see. In addition, Operation Good Neighbor, we did say that's, I think it's going to really be good. The Chamber of Commerce set up a phone line there with 647-GIVE, and that's going to really help our parish and people who look at our parish, and being proactive and helping others, and not sitting around waiting for Big Brother to come in and do what they should do or could do or whatever. And it's just been amazing as I've interacted with these different groups of volunteers as well as parish workers and what they are doing. If you haven't been to the Winn-Dixie store, if you haven't volunteered there yet, I encourage you to do so. To sustain that with volunteers is going to be a challenge for several weeks. Winn-Dixie basically let us use it to the 25th of the month. That's when their lease was up. We paid the utilities. We added the liability to our insurance policy. Their manager, who was fixing to lose his job, has been working with us too, Brett. And so it just worked out perfectly as far as taking over that facility and using it for the good of the community. And both the Donaldsonville and the Ascension chambers now will work with us in dispersing those funds to where it's needed the most. Obviously, one of the concerns we have is, if you realize, FEMA has the ability of the federal government under a federal declaration to come in and they can basically take over the parish if they need to help people. They can come in and say, we're going to suspend some of your ordinances up to 18 months, temporary housing and things. As I met with the attorneys trying to be proactive in what can we do so that they see we're doing some things to try to help displaced people and have some semblance of control over what we're trying to do. Obviously, we can't do everything for everybody because of the number of people who come into our parish, especially early on. And so we've come up with something, and I commend the planning department, Tom and his group, for meeting with the State Department of Health and Hospitals on, without losing our ability to manage some of this, also be proactive in allowing, like, family members that may have other family members coming in, if they own an acre or more, to be able to put a manufactured home on there, and how do you impact that with the sewer requirements of the state. Have to be really careful here because our parish is going to be significantly challenged for the next few weeks. The Red Cross tells me the shelter will probably open 60 to 90 days. They're looking for 100 acres of land to put 75 to 750 mobile units on throughout the greater Baton Rouge area. To my knowledge, they haven't leased any in our parish. Hopefully in the morning we get to talk with them, to emphasize to them that we've done a lot. If we take the ones in the shelter and put them in that mobile home park, that's fine. That doesn't increase our population. If we take those who are there, and just to do as much negotiation as we can with them. Obviously, some of our private landowners are probably interested in making money for 6 months to 18 months on these long-term leases. And they'll keep 25% of that property, like green space, roads and things, but they'll put up to 10 mobile homes on an acre. So 100 acres could have 750 mobile homes on it. Obviously, that impacts our school system, that impacts a lot of things, unless they do a 55 and older community like I live in. We don't have the children, and they can do things like that in an emergency. So we'll see what happens with this. You've heard about the real estate in the parish being sold. That's true. People are buying it up. They're renting it up. Permits, inspections, and so forth have doubled the last few days. So hopefully when we meet with the FEMA people in the morning, we can see what we can do to try to control a new group of citizens in our parish. Next slide, please, Betty. This is an amazing number, over 300 volunteers at the distribution center. And Kenny and David really worked hard to try to coordinate all of this. helped 316 applicants for unemployment benefits. We've had, and people are still sending animals to Lamar-Dixon. Floor contractors, as a state contractor for FEMA in the state, I met with them the other day. They've hired MMR, the old Walmart Woolcoat building. Looks like to me they're making a bunch of offices. So, Pepper Rutland, who is the R of that MMR, told me they're going to have a lot of people working there, and I suspect it's going to be FEMA for people. In addition, this afternoon I finally met a FEMA person who works for FEMA, not a contractor for FEMA. Donaldsonville, the old West Ascension Elementary School on St. Patrick, that is like a hotel. They told me all they plan on doing there right now is there are people sleeping there that will be FEMA employees in our parish, working in our parish and working in other areas that they can go in. So that school has become a hotel. She's from Maine, the other guy was from Arizona. I don't know how many people will be there or how many FEMA employees we'll have in our parish, but it's going to be a lot, because we are a staging area to get to some of the areas that have been impacted more. And through the shelter and working through our HR department, we was able to help hire 23 people to do some temporary work at that building through this contractor. So I was the one of the big challenges we're going to have now is commerce. And you cannot, you have a city completely devastated with a large metropolitan base, unemployed people, companies that no longer have revenue coming into their company unless they have the right type of insurance program for long term. This is going to be a critical issue in that whole area, Orleans, St. Bernard, St. Tammany, Washington to a degree, Plaquemines, to some extent St. Charles, which is hit pretty hard. And so, you know, as much as we can, we thought we'd use our HR department to help work with the Department of Labor to help people find jobs so they can get off the public assistance and become self-sustaining, self-reliant as soon as possible. It's going to be critical in our area that this happens as soon as it's practical. We have about 150 FBI agents at the Sorrento Ascension Civic Center. And their role and mission is to support, if our police get in trouble, they're there for backup. And they are a highly trained, highly skilled, as I did a tour with them, group of marksmen and FBI snipers, etc., from a helicopter from long distances away with lasers. And so they've been assisting primarily in the recent search and rescue down in the southeastern part of the state. The next slide is Public Works, and they've just been working a lot. I mean, just doing a lot of things. I mentioned the contractor coming in to do the pickup and debris removal. Also, the drainage office will be out in the canals to see which canals will really have a lot of obstructions in them, trees that have fallen. So there's a lot going on. It's impossible. I could spend hours going through this with you. My days start at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and they end pretty late in the evening. A lot of it now is trying to help others. We think all the power is back up in our parish pretty much. We've had Jefferson Parish, we've helped some in our parish, but they're completely displaced their parish government. In addition, just to let you know, the Department of Social Services has been open pretty much around the clock over off of Worthy, mostly for food stamp assistance. That's been a mess at times. And yesterday they did about 900 applications. They started out last Friday with about 304, so they've improved the effectiveness and efficiency of it. But it's really, they work 24 hours sometimes, then they'll close because they just get burned out. They run out of applications. And their electronic application system has not been working throughout the state. A lot of that's been down. And so that whole Francois Plaza area, you've been there, we have police around the clock just trying to control that because there's people there from all over. Most of those people are from outside of our parish, but they haven't given me the exact numbers yet of where those people live that are applying for public assistance there. I guess I wasn't sure back in November. Boy, I felt so strongly about Lamar Dixon becoming part of Ascension Parish. I definitely know now why. The Lord works in mysterious ways, His wonders to perform. I think our governor will be there tomorrow. I think at least Dick Cheney, maybe President Bush will be there shortly, hopefully. And that facility between military, the shelter, energy with over 1,200 to 1,500 utility people sleeping and eating, living there, up to 700 or 800 law enforcement from around the country, the first on the search and rescue. We had over 4,000 people in that 247 acres. And I honestly think we will pay for it very shortly at the federal level. Richard Baker personally called me today and talked for quite a while. And he loves Ascension Parish and he appreciates what we've done to help people that were not in a position to help themselves. We're glad to entertain any questions any of you have. Yes, sir.
I just want to commend you, Mr. President. You have really grabbed the bull by the horns and you showed your leadership, and I think you've done an outstanding job, and Ascension Parish is a guiding light, and I think it's in large part due to you and your leadership. I just want to thank you for everything you did.
Thank you. I'd just like to echo that too, you and all the staff done a great job.
I've just been trying to coordinate. There's been a lot of people there. It's a small part of a big cause. And, but it's going to be here for a while, so don't think just short term. And after we meet with FEMA tomorrow and the governor in the morning, hopefully I better meet with her. I think we'll have a better feel for what time frame we're really looking at. But they don't really know yet either. Because, I mean, it hasn't even been organized chaos at times. It's been disorganized chaos at times as far as the formal recovery, restoration type of stuff.
I think we can all be proud of Ascension Parish. Thank you, Ronnie.
Right, one question with all the trailers. I know it's a temporary deal, but they all have to have sewer treatment. So our parish would be kind of restrained from a lot of this. It probably wouldn't be a good investment for an individual for 6 months to 8 months to set up a mobile home park for temporary, is what I'm saying.
And yeah, FEMA will pay for all of that, I think, if they decide to do it here. They're trying to get people out of shelters, and if you, obviously we have hundreds of thousands of our citizens, even outside of our state, that they're trying to bring back. My plea with them would be that we're trying to do our fair share, but don't overload us.
Exactly.
And I meet with the school system regularly, the sheriff, we talk every day. We had about 1,500 new students in our school system as of yesterday from the storm. I'm meeting with Mr. Kluat and Mr. Sondry. And that's in addition to the 900 to 1,000 we had at the beginning of school over last year. So we basically, just so you'll know, Congressman Baker, and I'm waiting to hear back from Senator Vitter and Senator Landry and the rest of them, they have told us to take our 25-year plan for Ascension Parish and condense it into a year. Because they really feel like a lot of people are going to stay in the Greater Baton Rouge area. And Congressman Baker wants to take Livingston, Ascension, and East Baton Rouge, those plans all together. He needs this for next week because they'll start working on some additional emergency appropriation bills of real money. A lot of this right now is just the short term. We're talking about the investments. And you said, Ronnie, it's a decade. And, you know, it's not going to be up front. And so we have got to put together, take our 25-year transportation plan, the plan and development plan, all of these plans, and try to give them an estimate of what we think we're going to need in the next year or so. And he's asked us to still put it in phases, so it won't be all that you hear. And don't listen to, I sent you all a letter today. I would not listen to a lot of what you hear on the news about dollar figures. We're not even going to mention dollar figures. Some public officials get up and say, well, we're going to have we need 10 billion, that's coming. Well, that's not what he told me today. And so, the primary focus of the highway dollars would be to get Interstate 10, but what he told me, back functioning going east, where you got bridges out, you got roads out, which is going to take a lot of money to restore that interstate system. Both into Slidell, New Orleans, going to Gulfport, Biloxi. He said, Ryan, that's going to be where those dollars are going to go. You'll be next in line in the greater Baton Rouge area once they take care of the area that's really been impacted. And if you listen to some officials lately, they're talking about 40 billion coming to Baton Rouge, we're going to cure all of our problems, and 10 billion just for roads. That is not the impression the Congressman gave me today. Great question, Tom. Any others?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. Mr. President, we had over 300 a day at Winn-Dixie volunteers. But since Tuesday, the numbers are dropping off because people are going back to work. I asked the public if you have any time available. The operation at Winn-Dixie is still ongoing. That are willing to clothes, willing to help pull and organize clothes to go to families, and we need men to unload 18-wheelers that are coming in right and left. So those are some of the comments that I wanted to make about that particular thing. It's phenomenal. It's just absolutely awesome. I also have one other thing that I need to say and just get it off my chest. I'm very disappointed with FEMA. I understand that they're fixing up, offices up at the old Walmart that may take 7 days to do. I went to Home Depot this morning, and at Home Depot there were tents longer than this building here, set up on the outside in the parking lot for Allstate, with people lined up to the road out there to get their claims in. And if Allstate can do it, I don't see why FEMA can't do it, and why we got to build offices before meeting the needs of people that are sleeping in complexes that are on the floor on pallets. And we don't need them just on this side of the river, we need them on the other side of the river, and then maybe in several locations. I've dealt with many people that came through Winn-Dixie. Where's FEMA? And I had no answer to give them. And that's sad that we're almost going on 2 weeks since the storm, and here we are, these people are not having their needs met, and we're going to wait for them to build office complexes and get their telephone lines. If Allstate can do it, FEMA should be able to do it. And as far as busing the people from, from Donaldsonville to go to the Y, why can't we have something similar set up on the other side that we don't have to bus them?
You had to ask that to the FEMA director, Michelle.
Yeah, are they the ones that's at the Y too?
Yeah, it's FEMA. It's a satellite office they set up with wireless internet. I would think it'd be easier to try to move all that, and I would be easier to bring the people over the buses and do it there. I just hate to see them pick all that stuff up, and they may get a call on the way and they go in another direction. Now, I don't know if they're going to do that, because we don't have any control of it. I didn't even know they were here. I got a call, they were trying to take over the YMCA. So I went and saw the director to see what was happening. And they can come in and take over Parish government.
Well, the next time you talk to Richard Baker, since he's in the federal government, maybe you can ask him if he can contact somebody that can find out why FEMA is not doing what they're supposed to do. This is totally ridiculous that we have people all over this parish sleeping on cement floors, and they can't get in touch with FEMA at all. If Allstate can do it, so can FEMA.
Any other questions to me?
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm not sure whether you can answer it or not, but I was told supposedly doing the cleanup, the parish don't have anything to do with the cleanup. And my concern is I wanted to know whether we'll be able to put some people to work to do some of the cleanup that they're going to be doing. And who will we talk to if that's possible?
I'll get with Mr. Howard after the meeting, and Ashford will use local contractors. is FEMA not doing it? FEMA just is contracting out through the Corps. The Corps, as I understand it, in a conference call today, and all of you have been invited, every day at 11, Senator Landrieu and Senator Vitter's offices have a conference call with the parish presidents, emergency operations center directors throughout the affected area. And those questions have been asked now several days. And we could go out on our own and hire them. Okay? But then we will be responsible for paying them and waiting for reimbursement and all this. Now, that would help local people maybe, but it also could leave the parish in a lurch until we get reimbursed. But this is so huge and massive. I had just looking at what it's taken them to get mobilized. I don't want us to be here 2 or 3 months waiting to get a lot of money reimbursed to us. And part of the debate now is what these contractors will pay local people when they hire. And so I have not seen that contract. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get to see. It's not with the parish. It's between FEMA, the Corps, and this contractor. We did a lot of work with the hurricanes in Florida last year.
But if we are able or capable of asking or requesting that if they're going to come in
We've done that.
and clean up, then we would ask that.
Everybody called today, and they're starting to get areas now where they can go in and do some cleaning, like Tangent Hope, parts of Washington. And so those people reported that they are in and they're negotiating with local contractors. This company doesn't have thousands of people sitting in their offices in Florida ready to do this stuff. They will mobilize hiring local people and be mostly unskilled, lower paying jobs, picking up debris. Okay, but they will, and that's some of the things I'll talk about with FEMA in the morning. So if you have people like need work, now's a good time to help put some people to work.
Exactly. I got two other questions. The housing situation, I was asked about, you have a few people that they have housing, but they're not, they're about 85 to 90% livable. Would FEMA be able to come in and help to complete, because they are willing to, they're a helping hand in terms of giving the house to some of our guests that's here.
Make sure I understand the question. We have a vacant home
Right.
that's in being constructed.
Well, the house is there, but it's about 80 to 90% livable. We need a little.
I don't know the answer to that, Alan.
We need a little work done to it. I wanted to know whether FEMA would be able to come in and.
I would think the answer would be yes if FEMA wants to rent it. But I don't think FEMA's going to pay to fix up somebody's house that hadn't been fixed up already. If it wasn't storm damage that caused another 10 to 15%. Now, just saying that based on reading some of their stuff. And Jim, do you know the answer?
I don't know the answer.
That's a note. Would you make a note of that? We'll ask that in the morning. But FEMA is looking to lease property, to lease buildings, both for offices and for people to live in.
Would they be able to, maybe want to ask them that tomorrow when you meet, be able to turn on the light, the water, the gas, and to have some of the guests, that we have in these shelters to come move in these homes. Would it be-
If they lease that property to be part of the federal emergency system, yes, I think they would do that. But they need to do that. They would go out and look at that. They obviously don't have the property that we didn't have an office built big enough for them to go move in and do things without some construction and remodeling things. We didn't have a 200,000 square foot building they wanted for a morgue. They wanted 25,000 body bags, and so we didn't have that in the parish. Nor does St. Gabriel have it, I don't think. And so they're making do. But their FEMA team that goes out and does recovery of deceased people now is started. And a gentleman from Arizona was in St. Bernard today, and he told me Elysian Fields area of New Orleans is horrible with the deceased people. And still water up to the rooftops in parts of East New Orleans. And this gentleman came in from Arizona to work with, I don't remember the initials, the acronym, but it's the mortuary team of FEMA. And I think some of our local funeral homes have already started receiving some bodies.
My last question was, the city and the parish in itself, today received 2 truckloads of goods, and there is a distribution site beside the Dream Center. It would be housed at the Lemon Center, and we just want to get that word out, that if there's anyone that needing anything, besides going to the Dream Center, if they don't have it, they'll have some stuff at the Lemon Center, in Downsville, starting today.
Now, my part of this is pretty short, Mr. Chairman, so well, I'm here as long as you got no questions for me.
Anyone else got any questions for the Parish? Just have one other thing I wanted to ask. Mr. Gibson. Mr. President, I also wanted to thank Texas and Oklahoma City. These folks have come down and helped the utility companies out tremendously. From Demco Energy, I really want to thank all of the utilities. They really all came together, and I think we're going to see that this was a record time for getting people back home, getting trees removed. So I think hats off to all the utility companies that come in and help.
And just from an economic development perspective, Dempsey, the manager of the utility, let's say the utility housing at Lamar Dixon, is from our community, and they're geared up for 1,200 to 1,500 people there. Now, I think it's Casio's Catering doing all the food prep cooking. So obviously we have local businesses who are financially benefiting from what's taking. I mean, so we're feeding over 4,000 people a day just in Lamar Dixon, basically. And another caterer I met is actually from, I think Baton Rouge. He's actually sending that cooking now for the law enforcement people doing search and rescue still. They get some hot deals, not just MREs. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I got one. You said in the presentation, you said that with the emergency declaration, that you have the authority to waive or amend some of the zoning. And you said that there's a possibility that we will allow a trailer to be placed on an acre of land. Have you initiated that thought?
Yes, that's why the department met with the health and hospitals to try to come up with something together before we meet with FEMA. FEMA could come in and put 10 on an acre.
Right, but have you allowed that, initiated that?
We started it, and we need the council to ratify it. I'm not sure the legal part of that. We read the ordinances. The code of ordinances is a little different sometimes than the charter. You get into all these ordinances, and under emergency declaration, the president can do some things. And we're trying to be proactive in doing it, so FEMA doesn't come in and make it even broader and more liberal than what we're trying to do, which they can. And they can very well tell us that we just leased this 100 acres of land and we're going to come do this on it. And I don't think...
No, sir, I'm not talking about the 100 acres or 200 acres and 750 trail. I'm talking about the individual, like I live on an acre of land. Are you waiving the regulation to where I will be allowed to put a trailer on that 1 acre?
Under certain circumstances, yes. Dr. LeBarn, you want to address that? Tom?
The temporary placement of manual is for a 6-month period. The requirements are a minimum of 1 acre. Put up to 3 on any lot. In other words, if you have a 6-acre lot, you can put a maximum of 3. That was your question. The state has allowed us to, if you put 1 trailer, to tie into your existing system. If you put 2 or 3 on your property, you have to put in a treatment system for those other 2 or 3.
Or temporary.
6 months later, we take the power back. FEMA can extend that 6 month if it's a FEMA aided resident in that trailer to 18 months.
Okay, but we are initiating that plan as we speak.
Yes.
You're walking it through the process. It doesn't come to us. It doesn't have to come to us, right?
No, we took it through legal review to see that we could do this under emergency executive order. Obviously, the president of the parish is going to violate the state laws That's why we had to get with the state to get them to agree to modify their laws, and they did do that at our request.
Okay, so that's been walked through. Just keep council up to date on where you at with that process.
Right. One last thing, because I think, there's some concern about trailers and trailer parks going up and not coming down. We pull the power, 6 months later, you can apply for a 60-day extension. But as the power gets turned off, you have 6 months to get that trailer off the property.
Okay.
Any other questions, Jerry?
That's it, Mark. Thank you. Item number 7, consent agenda, adopt minutes regular meeting, council meeting August 4th, 6:05, and August 18th. Motion by Mr. Denton Lambert, second by Mr. Fontenot. Any questions? Any opposition? Have them vote. Passing number 8. Number 9, have a contract or lease for a polling place between the Parish of Ascension and Paul Mayon, precinct 7. Mr. Laverne Boudoir.
This is an agreement that is required to have a polling place at precinct 7. Mr. Paul Mayon has graciously done for the last several years. It's a one-year agreement that's been reviewed by legal, and Mr. Paul has signed it, also the president signed it. Just need approval from the council.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Kyle Lambert, second by Mr. George Valentine.
Thank
Any questions?
Question. This is a standard lease with all of our polling places?
you. Yes.
Standard lease? Thank you.
Any further questions? Any opposition? Have them vote carried. And we're going to 9A, which is Viable Solutions contract. It was a contract that has already been drafted. Mr. Diaz, he had a concern about some verbiage on one of the paragraphs that's been taken care of with his license. Anybody got any questions? Mr. Ross Katz, he's more than happy to answer.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Byron, second by Mr. Tyler Lambert. Any questions? Any opposition? Have none, motion passed. Number 10, City Planning Committee. Mr. Shake Knight.
We have no bid.
Utilities Committee, Vice Chair, Mr. Byron. Did y'all have, did the Utilities Committee have a meeting? Personnel Committee, Mr. Valentine. Recreation, Mr. Thompson. Transportation, Ms. Fonda.
Thank you. Mr. Rule will take care of item number 8.
Yes, ma'am. On August 11th, phase 2 of the 2004 road project. The low bid, qualified bid was R.J. Dable and Sons in the amount of $442,817.49.
I move to accept the low bid, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Fontenot. Any questions? Any opposition? Have none, motion passed.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we take care of 2 items at one time. We're also asking for authorization of the parish president to sign all documents once the contract is reviewed by legal. Usually what we do after the contract is approved, it goes through legal, we come back with a contract for authorization to proceed, have the parish president sign.
Do I have a motion to authorize? Motion to authorize the parish president to sign contract document for the supplemental road project. Motion by Mr. Hillenbeck. Second by Mr. Tyler Lambert. Any questions? Any opposition? Have none, motion passed. Thank you, Bill. Ms. Fonda.
Transportation meetings on the 7th Tuesday of the month. That will be next Tuesday at 7 o'clock following utility committee. Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to hear from Mr. Denton Lambert on the subcommittee bridge committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to let everyone know we're going to have a meeting next Wednesday, September the 14th, in the conference room at 6 o'clock. So if you have any bridge concerns, please turn them in to Mr. Darrell Berglot. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Number 15, zoning review. ID 133605, property located on the east side of Highway 44, approximately 200 feet south of Lee Drive. to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential to crossroads commercial, lot 6A of the Charles Courtney property for Gold Rod Properties LLC. This is for review only. Number 16, zoning review ID 133705, property located on the west side of Caroline Highway, approximately 300 feet south of Louisiana Highway 42, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential to mixed use portions of tract D of the Robert Odom tract for RP Odom Air. This is for review only. 17, zoning review ID 133805, property located east of Sugar Lane Drive, approximately 600 feet south of LA 308 in section 96, township 11, south, range 14, or to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential to mixed use. Lot 10, Charles Profit for Timothy Deal. That's for review only. Ms. Suzanne, if I have someone come up. Number 18, this is an extension of public hearing to consider an ordinance authorizing donation through a cooperative endeavor agreement for Homeland Security grant. Mr. Babbitt.
This is to allow the Parish of Ascension to accept grant funds with property pursuant to the Homeland Security Grant Funds Program and flow these items to the applicable enforcement agencies to use those assets to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Be it ordained in the Ascension Parish Council in lawful session hereby authorizes the donation as a flow-through entity. Those assets given to it pursuant to the sub-grant agreement for the Homeland Security Program funds under such terms and conditions as outlined in the sub-grant agreement attached here to Exhibit A or any amendments thereto. Even further ordained, this grant authority shall apply to all assets acquired and dispersed to all entities that qualify and are authorized to receive those assets pursuant to the grant rules approved by the parish president and the entity completing the necessary agreements. If you recall, there's a sub-grant agreement here. This is a flow-through program. This is not parish funds. This is when we receive those radios or some other emergency preparedness type of equipment that we can get an entity that we're giving them to sign the sub-grant agreement and disperse those items.
Motion for extension of public hearing. Second. Motion by Mr. Rosenberg, second by Mr. Todd Lambert, to open public hearing. Any questions? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Anyone wishing to speak on this public hearing? Motion to close, Mr. Chairman. Motion by Mr. Byron, second by Mr. Killenbeck. Any questions? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. 19 itself, the ordinance.
Move the ordinance, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Byron, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any questions? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Number 20, public hearing to consider an ordinance adopting the millage rate hereby levied upon the dollar of the assessed valuation of all property subject to ad valorem taxation within for the year 2005. Mr. Babbitt.
Be ordained by the Ascension Parish Council, Parish of Ascension, Louisiana, after a public hearing held on September 1st, 2005. Hearing was conducted in accordance with Open Meetings Law's additional requirements of Article 7, Section 23C of the Constitution. The following millage rates be and are hereby levied upon the dollar the assessed valuation of all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the Parish of Ascension for the year 2005 for the purpose of raising revenue. Parish tax 2.86, parish tax Donaldsonville 1.3, parish tax 1.3, health 2, mental health 2, library 4.2, library 2.6, lighting district 1.5, lighting district 2, 1, lighting district 3, 5, lighting district 4, 5, lighting district 6, 5, lighting district 7, 5.01, lighting district 8, 0.00, EA consolidated gravity drainage 5, West Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage 5.33, West Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage District 4.67, Council on Aging 1.5. Be it further ordained that the assessor for the Parish of Ascension shall extend upon the assessment roll for the year 2005. Taxes herein levied and the tax collector for said parish shall collect and remit the same to said taxing authority in accordance with law. The foregoing ordinance is read in full, and the roll is called adoption here, and ordinance is adopted for the following votes. I believe that this needs to be adopted with an amendment changing the date of the public hearing. This was given to you prior to the postponement of your meeting.
Motion to open public hearing.
Motion by Mr. Dillon, second by Mr. Tyler Lambert, open public hearing. Any questions? Any opposition? Motion passes. Anyone wishing to speak on this public hearing?
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Byrer, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, close the public hearing. Is there any question? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes.
Move the ordinance with the amendment as recommended by Mr. Bass.
Motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Dillon, second. Is there any question? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. 22, to consider the ordinance adopting the change in the tables of the Ascension Parish Development Code. Mr. Babbitt.
The purpose of the amendment, the ordinance is to amend and consolidate Table A, Table B, and Table C of the Ascension Parish Development Code into Tables A and B to regulate permitted uses by district and site requirements by district. Whereas the Parish of Ascension presently has in effect the Ascension Parish Development Code, which includes Table A regulating permitted uses by district, and Table B, which regulates site requirements by district, and Table C, which also regulates site requirements by district. And such tables now in existence contain conflicting provisions. Whereas due to discrepancies in Table A, B, and C of the Ascension Parish Development Code, there is cause for concern for the enforcement of such tables. Now therefore be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Development Code be amended to eliminate Table C and to consolidate the former tables A, B, and C into tables A and B as follows. The table make part of these are amendments. Where it's a cleanup measure of our zoning code.
Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Chase, now to open the public hearing. Any questions? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Anyone wishing to speak on this public hearing?
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Chase Snyder, second by Mr. Byron, to close the public hearing. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. 24, the ordinance itself.
Motion, Mr. Chairman. Second.
23, item 23, motion by Mr. Tyler Lambert, second by Mr. Chase Snyder. Is there any question? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. 24, public hearing to consider an ordinance amending the code of ordinance in section 18-41, board per diem to allow per diem payment for fire board members of fire protection district 1, 2, and 3. Mr. Babbitt.
Gentlemen and ladies, this is a cleanup measure. Our code, Louisiana state law allows a per diem to pay to fire board members. Our code, we usually just have one fire board, one fire district. So our code says fire district members of District 1 were to be paid a per diem. Now we have Fire District 2 and Fire District 3, so our code was antiquated and said we pay per diem to Fire District 1. So out of equity and to prevent the treasurer from having to write checks to a fire board per diem member or per diem that was authorized by you, we decided to prepare this amendment presented to you for consideration. Is to amend the code of ordinances in section 1841, board per diem, to allow per diem for payment of fire board members for fire protection district 1, 2, and 3. Be ordained that section 1841 shall read as follows: fire protection district Ascension, Louisiana authorized to establish a per diem not to exceed that allowed by state law with a maximum of 2 meetings per month.
Motion to open public hearing.
Motion by Mr. Byron, second by Mr. Tyler Lambert, to close the hearing. Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Anyone wishing to speak on this public hearing?
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Byron, second by Ms. Fontaine, to close the public hearing. Any opposition to the motion? Having none, motion passes. Number 25, the ordinance itself.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Byron, second by Mr. Tyler Lambert, to approve the ordinance. Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Number 26, motion by Mr. Dillon, second by Mr. Byron.